Vancouver, John C. Roseman, California. What's going on, guys? It is still January 15th, 2021, around 10:30 in the morning. I am witnessing history unraveling at this point over the past 4 years when we had an independent of sorts coming in office to think he was Republican. And it proved out to be he wasn't Republican, he was just out for himself. A lot of people fell for this guy. A lot of people. They kept thinking that Donald John Trump was going to be the ultimate savior for him because he kept advertising and kept promising, and a lot of people who were hungry and desperate, who were wanting a change in government. They couldn't stand the policies. They couldn't stand the politicians. They thought everybody was crooked and corrupt. And they believed a crooked, corrupt con man who had a gift for the gab, and he was a celebrity of sorts he tried to build himself up into for so many years, for so many decades, trying to build his name up into an empire where everybody knew what the name Donald Trump meant. But now everybody else knows what the name Donald Trump means, and his family. Wednesday was the culmination of it all. His policies sucked. Some people thought he had brought jobs in only for himself. His empire knew no bounds. He thought himself as an emperor at this point over here. Congress was the enemy. Media was the enemy. He was it. He only relied on a few stations left and right and people's word of mouth. But his malevolence towards humanity at this point over here, his fight for survival, his selfish self-interests. He had pushed people over the edge, and they responded. And now, because of what happened last Wednesday, I am seeing an armed camp on a television screen and in different channels looking at Washington, D.C. A time when there's supposed to be a solemn occasion where a new leader or currently serving termed leader would be getting into office to start round two. This time, we are going to get another president-elect in office. But instead of having cheering crowds, ticker tape, stuff flying through the air, of absolute celebration, we're going to be having absolute fear. We're going to have our capitals and our cities under patrol. We're going to have the military under alert. National Guard's been called out. The military wants a peaceful transition, so they're going to defer to the civilian government, but they also have all the National Guard troops they can muster to act as security in addition to regular civilian security in different areas. But 15,000 in Washington, D.C. I could compare this to history class. I could compare this to different historical events at this point over here. And it doesn't do any justice. Second time, around 1812, a little later than that, I guess, when Britain decided to do round two on us, they sacked and burned Washington, D.C. with less armament, but still amount same people. Of course, they had pitchforks. Actually, they had their flintlocks during that time. They had torches, and they set fire even to the White House. Capital. We had to rebuild all over again. Washington, D.C. was burned. by an outside entity. Wednesday was from a civil war culminating. A cold civil war. For decades, the people who had stewed against the government, who had generation after generation raised under hate of anything and everything that the government stood for. But they still lived here. Why? They never have an adequate answer for that one, do they? If they hated America so much, why were they still living here? Why did they still exist? If they hated the government, how come they didn't leave the government? Actually, how come they didn't leave the country? They knew peaceful protest. They wanted to do a violent protest. They were egging and begging on. They were expecting the government to come after them. And in a few cases, yes, they did. Ruby Ridge. And they would say Waco, Texas. And they would say Oregon at this point. Ruby Ridge was a disaster. That should have never happened. Waco is a different story altogether when you're dealing with a nut job who armed his place with weapons and stockpiled. Yes, the Second Amendment guarantees the right to bear arms, but there was restrictions concerning about the weaponry, and they concerned about the harm, and when federal agents got injured or killed in the process, I believe. David Koresh became one of the hated figures in America, but for some people, he still was a hero. His cult status was still alive. Timothy McVeigh back in the 80s got pissed off. I'll take it back, not the 80s. The 90s, early 90s. He got pissed off at a lot of things. Military. He didn't like things were running at that point. Something happened to him. Something unexplainable. I had a hell of a lot of anger, a hell of a lot of hatred towards the American government. And he decided to blow up a federal building with people inside to make a point. Protesting, trying to demonstrate your First Amendment rights, it's not enough. For extremists, they've got to see the violence in action. They've got to see the bloodshed. They got to see that mob rules, and they consider it democracy, but it's not democracy. It's bully tactics. It's bullies. And they will have the sandbox. They want the sandbox because they want the ego. They're going to control the sandbox by lying and manipulating everyone else to do their own damn dirty work. But when it comes down for their own damn deeds, they're just his cowards. Jim Jones was like that too. Cult leaders. So Donald Trump, who actually had been an actual leader, decided to turn our country upside down and destroyed everything that we have. And because of the COVID-19 kicking in, trying to remind us of a lot of things that we needed to know. If we didn't have Donald J. Trump in there, if we actually had Hillary Clinton in there, I know things would have been a hell of a lot different. Maybe they've been a hell of a lot worse economically. I don't know. All I know is I wouldn't have a political leader in there advertising hate all the damn time and blaming everybody else for your own damn issues. No. When they usually elect leaders in office, it's usually someone who actually says, I want to work with you guys, but I don't want to have all this divisiveness going on. There's got to be room for compromise, and I agree for some things. Other things you still have to hold down on principle. Agreeing to disagree is another thing, but supporting the other person's right to disagree is mainly a thing. But what I'm seeing is not the disagreements at this point over here. It's pure anger and pure hatred. It's pure anger and pure hatred. We have turned our Congress area, our democracy, we have turned everything else that we held sacred of America. And we turned it upside down and shredded the living crap out of it. And the other world leaders that our bully president, soon to be ex-president, I say ex because he's not dead yet. I'm saying he's defrocked, voted out of office, humiliated galore. No, I want him rotting in jail for sedition. For all the mess he's caused in our country. And if we actually have a terrorist attack, I'm blaming him for it. If the people are actually rising up in the cities, I blame him for it. He is the release valve for all that negativity crap that we've got going on right now. And yes, I have to blame someone for that one. But I also have to point the fingers back at me, too. Look at your hand. Go ahead, look at it. 5 fingers. Actually, 4 fingers, 1 thumb, right? Every time we keep pointing a finger at someone, we're going to point a finger at someone. We're going to point a finger at someone. We're going to point a finger at someone. Where are the other fingers being pointed? Straight at us, huh? I'm going to do this. I'm going to point a finger and a thumb. Actually, a finger and a thumb. At you. Where are my 3 other fingers pointing at? I blame you for fill in the blank. It is your fault for fill in the blank. And I am angry at you because fill in the blank. I am displaying a negative emotion at you because fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. Where are the fingers still pointing? Okay, we're doing this way. Where are the fingers pointing? You're going to say, oh, well, it's inside. Inside, he's balling it up. Where are the fingers pointing? So no matter how many times we keep trying to point a finger at someone and say something, not nice but derogatory all the time, complaining, blaming, cursing, where are the fingers going at? You. Doesn't phase you, does it? Doesn't affect you, does it? How many videos have I been doing all this damn thing for over a year? For 2000? Now I'm starting for 2021. We are seeing something in human history that we should not have seen in the first place, but we are. We're seeing more of the ugliness inside of us, and we can't hide it. We can't deny it any longer. We're going to have to be the divided states of America. Toss out the capital letter A. Throw in maybe at least 2 more, actually 3 K's to replace the C in the middle of America, or part of America. And what you have is your divided states of America. No Constitution, just your word against the other schmuck. Congratulations, boys and girls. You just changed the country around without firing a shot. Oh, I'm sorry. You actually had. You actually stormed the halls of the U.S. Capitol, practically threatened and almost destroyed the Constitution of the United States. Allowed people to get hurt and killed in the process. You had taken the Confederate flag and killed Jews in Auschwitz, everything concerning about Nazism, everything that America fought against across the sacred hallowed halls of the U.S. Capitol. Congratulations. Don't you feel proud of yourselves? Don't you feel proud that you are in America, not America? As far as I'm concerned, you're traitors. You are traitors, and how to be deserved. Deserve the traitors' punishment. You guys love this country so damn much. You wanted to keep our peace and our freedom and our Bill of Rights, that you're willing to destroy everybody in this process just for your own delusion. Congratulations, boys and girls. You just killed yourself. You destroyed yourself as Americans, and now put yourself up as Americans with 3 K's in it, with no capital A, with no feeling of the U.S. Constitution or being part of a country. You just formed your own island. You just created a divided states of America. Divided States of America. Congratulations. Hope you feel sick to your stomach. You probably will enjoy all your hate as you try to enjoy your quote-unquote freedom or your illusions of such. Be warned. Those traitors who have actually stormed the Capitol and have harmed people left and right. You folks forgot that you were being watched all over the world, all over by different cameras. They will find you eventually. They will find you. I hope you've enjoyed your romp in Washington, D.C., because I fear it's going to be your last. You can try pressuring your politicians at this point. Hopefully they'll be voted out as well. Tossed out of Congress. Embarrassed as hell. Congratulations for being part of the Civil War. The cold Civil War just turning hot now. You managed to barricade Washington, D.C. And you managed to cause the country to go up in arms. Don't blame the others, blame yourselves. You're the ones doing this shit. I don't know if we're all going to survive. You're bullshit. And I'm not willing to look at it either.